Cody Collier, how are you, brother?
Doing great. How we doing, Leonard?
Doing great, man. Hey, thanks for catching up with me on the Florida round. Man, the footage I got to see and the pictures and the information I got, um, you guys are awesome because that course just looked like no fun to me.
Florida's Florida, man. If you know anything about Gncc racing, you know about the horror stories about Florida. It's just knee deep sand for 10 miles, 12 miles, whatever your course may be. But no, track actually had some moisture in it this year, so like the deep spots got deep. It wasn't as like consistently deep and whooped out. It was just a lot choppier where it had some moisture in the sand and it was able to stick together. But definitely a different type of racetrack. Definitely very choppy, very tricky.
In the portions that I got to see, it was a lot of single track. When you get out into the areas where they can't film it, is that where all the passing happens?
There's not a lot of passing there with all the single track you see. Sometimes Florida does all right with having different lines. This track was pretty single track, so unless you really sent a line and they made a bobble in the main line, or knew about something they did, it's something really tricky. But you see, they marked the course where they really didn't allow a lot of room for interpretation. They had you pretty single track the whole time. There's a few bottlenecks where you're able to split and make some moves here and there, and pick off some time pretty quickly. But other than that, no real passing other than out in the swamp, out in the fields.
How did that affect you guys when you caught the lappers?
Well, I had pretty good luck with lappers. They moved when they could. There was a lot of pretty deep single tracks, so it's tough for some sea riders to hop out of the ruts in some situations. So I think the lappers did a good job with what they could getting out of the way. I didn't get purposely held up by anyone by any means, but there were bottlenecks, there were lappers, but I seem to have a pretty good day with it.
Well, that's good. That's good. You did end up in the two spot, and that was just one of those days where it was just a tough course.
Yeah. No, so my thing was I had a mechanical issue. We had an electrical issue where if I hit water in the wrong spot, my quad would cut out. We're still not 100% sure which electrical connection is. We have our suspicions, but yeah, I just had an issue where if I hit water in the wrong spot, my quad was cutting out, and I lost time almost every single lap from it. The last mile or so was like a swampy section. If you see my highlight reel, you'll see me splashing through it, and it starts cutting out at the end of that video. But no, I just had some issues with the water cutting out. Brandon was hitting limp mode on the last lap, and his quad cut out and stopped in some single track while he was in the lead, and I wasn't able to hop out of the rut, so he was able to maintain the lead and get it refired and reset the computer and take back off. So, yeah, I was bumper to bumper with them coming down to the wire about a mile from the finish, and my quad started cutting out from the swamp. So just watched him walk off into the sunset. But no, it was a really good ride. We both had our issues, and I had just had the last issue.
Wow, that seems like quite the race for you guys. The turnout was pretty good from what it looked like.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think the rain and the moisture kept some people away, but no, it was I think we had a little over 200 quads in the AM race, and almost the same in the PM. I think a little over 150. So good showings.
Yeah, that is a little bit less than normal, probably because A, the weather, and B, man, that course just looks so brutal.
It always is. That's Florida, though. I mean, unless you go to a totally different, I don't even know how you get away from Florida being Florida. So.
Yeah, I guess so. That does that black dirt ever come out of your gear and off of your machine?
Purple power has always done me good. Just good old purple power has always done me good. But no, I haven't had too many problems with it.
Yeah, I guess that stuff just looks nasty. In the WXC class, Elioff seemed to win another one, but Katelyn has gotten the whole shot, and she led for 2 laps, so she was doing really good. She fell back a little bit there at the end, but it looks like she's starting to go a little faster.
Yeah, no. I mean, Frutal's one of those tracks that's brutal, and Kate's, knows what she's doing out there and was able to hold that lead for the first couple of laps. But Elioff just seems to be the woman to beat right now. Just clicking her laps and doing her thing. Hanna kept her honest late in the race, but the bottlenecks and the lappers just kept it so inconsistent. You couldn't really tell who was the fastest guy or not that day. Just how did you pick through the lap riders, and wrong place, wrong time kind of affected some people too.
Just so that we can get an idea, if you stepped off your machine, how deep are those ruts?
Knee deep in spots for sure.
So you're talking
some of the deeper corners. I bet the outside berm, if you're standing in the rut, were hip deep.
That is incredible.
Yeah, no, it got gnarly for sure, and it was all like you said, it was all single track, so it wasn't like if the line was bad, you could hop out of it. It was you had to hit the line, had to hit the rut.
How did this straight axle 2-wheel drive 450s get through that?
It's sand, so it's a little forgiving. Like when you frame out, the sand does move a little bit, so that bottom just keeps digging out as you frame out into it.
Wow.
So you're able to drive. It just consistently gets deeper, but like you're still at wheel frame deep pretty much everywhere. You just keep on dragging that dirt hit hard enough.
Correct. And in the morning race, did you get to watch those guys the youth ride? Did you get to look at those at all?
It up left and right. It looked like bottlenecks and lappers were a major issue for those youth guys. I think I seen Likens back in like the 5 or 6 spot at one point and picked his way back up to the front. Got the whole shot, dropped back, and went back to the front from what I seen. So I did crazy day for the youth kids. I didn't get to hear the interviews or anything as I was prepping for my race, but I know they had a wild day. Because you got some 70s out there, and some of those 70 riders still run like the 12-inch tall tires, so they're framing out on the blacktop coming in.
That's just crazy. Noah Likens.
Yes, sir.
Won that one.
Yep. He got one shot. I think he dropped back and then regained the lead like a little over halfway through the race, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah. They said that in the thing that I read, Katelyn dropped all the way back out of the top 4 or 5 and fought her way back into third. And Hanna worked her way. She didn't have a great start, but she worked her way up into second. I still haven't figured out what happened to Chloe. She must have had some type of
issue. She was the last person to finish 4 laps. I'm not sure what happened to her, but she just looked like she had an issue and got fired back up, and she was the last person to complete that 4th lap.
And you're correct. I'm correct in this. They do no track maintenance after you guys before they run the PM race, correct?
Correct. Zero maintenance.
0 grading, 0 looking at it. Just there it is. Run it.
Yep. Move the banners for the PM section.
Man, did it rain on you guys at all?
No, not during the race. It poured on me a good hour, like we talked about on the pre-race show while I was walking the track out there. But no, I mean it was beautiful conditions all day long.
Is that in a somebody's property, or is that just out in the marsh land that's just open?
It's at the Hogwaller Mud Bog Park. They got side by side. I'm not sure what all they got going on there, but they got an event going on this weekend with Mud Bog, and it's supposed to have like 100,000 people there. So they stay busy at that facility. It's an off-road facility is what I'd call it for sure. But no, I do gotta say about the conditions though. I don't know if it's just me being an Ohio boy or what, but that first lap I got hot and muggy. I started to overheat a little bit, and I had to breathe a little bit. So I know it was a little muggy out in those woods, and then with the moisture and everything, I got hot that first lap. I know a lot of other people felt the same.
What was the outdoor temperature?
I'd say 70, 75, but then it was humid from the raining a good bit the day before.
Okay, I could see that in Florida, especially.
I had one Leonard. He was leading the junior A class, led the first lap, said he was feeling great, kind of got crossed up in a rut and had to hop off his bike, threw it back straight, and went to take back off, and where he overexerted himself off the quad, he ended up passing out. Just from like a heat stroke, overexerting himself real quick. He said he didn't even feel it coming. It just happened.
Wow.
He was out there borderline top 20 overall, leading Junior A. And just had it, you know how it is when you hop off your quad and throw it over and take back off, and you overexert yourself real quick. It affects everyone a little. I've thrown up from it several times. I've had to, take my helmet off and get my breath back and everything.
Yeah. Well, your quad weighs 9 zillion pounds.
I just put my first nowadays. I'm lazy, Leonard. I'm talking about back in the sport quad days.
Okay. All right. I get it, brother. I get it. Did you stick around for the afternoon race?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I watched it. I watched from the mud bog, walked out to the swamp and watched it from the mud bog. Walker got the whole shot. He led most of the first lap and had an issue in the pits, I believe, and spun out. Bryson ended up leading that first lap. And it looked like Bryson kind of controlled the race and just couldn't really run away through the lappers. And if you watch the Race to Arrows, the video Gncc does to document the series, Bryson said he was having front end issues with his precision. His precision locked up, and the stabilizer, and he was just having issues with it. Couldn't steer it, locked up on him. So even with him fighting the front, locked up, as hard as your steering can be, and still putting on that pace is pretty impressive.
I keep telling you, that guy's a horse, man. This is just a horse. That's incredible. Yeah, it looked like Walker rode incredibly well.
Oh yeah, take nothing away from there. Bryson's ride being that good, and he was doing with that is impressive.
Right, and Hunter and Josh Merritt had quite the battle. Looking for third. Josh held him off for a while, and then Hunter got out there. Adam McGill did really well. I can't remember the exact.
I believe it was Junior sixth after that. Woken seventh, or Abney seventh. Abney with a good run in Florida. Normally, a track that Abney does not do well, and he actually put in a really good ride. So
yeah, Galata Jr. was sixth. McClure was just down there in 12th, which I think isn't normal for him at all.
No, not for the sneaky snake. You expect him to sneak up the finishes, but no, he just didn't vibe with the sand this year. He's normally someone that I think rides really well in the sand. He was battling for the podium last year until he had a late race get off, but things aren't clicking for the snake right now. You just got to put it back together and see if the mud works out for him this weekend.
So do you think that these guys that are the younger guys in the XC1 class, as they roll into the pro class, do you think that they're going to take a couple seasons to get acclimated to the speeds? I know that next week on Tuesday, Stephen Harrell, his episode comes out, and he said that's one of the things that he was really having to work on is the speed, that everything comes to you at the XC1 level.
Oh yeah, and it's Harrell. He might give you crap next week, so I'm gonna get you straightened out right now. Stephen Harrell.
What did I say?
Harrell.
Okay, yeah, it's Harrell. Yeah. I can't believe I can do that. I don't know how to talk. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. Like Mikey Wayne says, keep making me say it where I have to correct it. So
I love it. I am horrible with names, so I am, I just blow it every time. But I think that those young guys are going to put a hurting on these guys in a few years. But you look at Bryson, that guy, man, he is just physically strong, fast, and he's got a great program with him, backing him in Phoenix. Look at.
Yeah, he's got arguably one of the best programs out there, and he just seems to be at the top of his game in his prime. But No, what you're saying about I do want to talk about everyone's racing the XC1 class. Everyone had kind of a good day for everybody, but no, about what you're saying about adjusting the XC1 pace. Everyone's at a different spot when they move up. I thought Steven, from his overall finishes from the XC2 class, you can kind of see where you think they'll land. So normally people go a little bit backwards in the overall from their when they jump up, just because of yeah, like we talk about, sometimes when you're winning, you have all that confidence, you're just hitting your marks and everything's coming easy, and you're an XC2 and you're getting 7th, 8th overall super consistently. Once you get to that XC1 class and start banging bars with them, it's a little different. And you normally see their results fall off for a little bit. But Steven seems to be doing really well with the adjustment. I honestly thought he might struggle with the pace a little bit here and there, but it seems like he's on par with everybody battling for top fives. If anybody sleeps, he's there for a top 5 race in, race out.
Yeah, he's really consistent with an 8th and a 9th, and he's running number 8 because that's where he earned. So for his first go around with the first 2 rounds, I think he's doing great. I really like.
If you look at the races, like the splits and everything, he's in the battle for the top 5 through the first hour for the most part. And this past weekend at Florida, he had a rear shock failure. So that really hurts you in Florida, let me tell you. So you guys having a much better ride than the results showed at the first 2 rounds.
Well, that's going to be great coming up here in a couple of days. When we get to the XC2 class, your whole shot was gotten by a Canadian.
Yeah, Mr. Danik Packin.
And that was great. Led off into the first lap. Something happened. I don't know exactly what. I just know that West Coast rider, a desert rider, ended up in the lead and led it all the way from there to the finish.
Yeah, someone who rides sand whoops a whole lot out there on the West Coast came out here and beat all of our boys in the sand whoops. But no, a great ride from Braxton. He did really well, 6th overall, I believe. Unreal ride from him. So kid's in shape. Kid knows how to ride in the sand, and just absolutely put it to the XC2 boys.
How narrow? I know that there's ruts, but how narrow was it in the tight sections for a guy like Braxton to go from riding high speed desert whoops, things like that, to tightening it up like that? Is Florida one of your wider races?
It's pretty wide for the most part. It's pretty wide and flowy and choppy, but like we were talking about with the single track, the ruts got so deep, it didn't really matter. It more mattered how well can you stick in a rut. If you stay in the rut, you don't even got to worry about what's on the outside of it. The entire track got so deep, it was all just a rut. So as long as you can stick in the rut, you don't even got to worry about how wide the track is.
How about the width of your machine? Did the narrow help, or could you run a little wider machine?
Either or. I mean, it just depends on your riding style and how you hit the track. I mean, there's definitely advantages to both. If you go too wide, you might not be able to miss some holes. You might be stuck hitting the whole rut. If you go something a little narrower, sometimes you can hop around inside of the rut and do some things. So there's pros and cons to both.
Right. And Alex came in, worked his way into 3rd, so he's got the point lead with a 1st and a 3rd. I know Gross is going to make it to the Georgia round, which is round 3. Grayson Eller, we don't want to leave him out. He was 4th. He's not that far out of the points battle. I know we're only 2 rounds in, so it's kind of, why are we talking like that? James Galata, he got an 8th, but with that class, you have so many guys. From what you and I talked about earlier, you got what, 10 guys, maybe 12 guys that could win on any given day or more in that class.
Yeah, no, I'd say at least 10, 12 guys that are definitely within the podium fight, if not being able, if things click for them, fighting for that win. A lot of young, hungry guys with a lot of talent. Just got to put together their laps. They're all capable of it.
How critical, let's base it on riding in the XC2, XC1 class. How critical is it to you that you get that lead or in that top 3 on the first turn?
To me, it was never really an issue. I was always good with lines and making things happen, so it was never really a big issue. In the XC1 class, it's definitely a bigger issue, but I was never really, podium guy or battling for top 5s too often in that XC1 class. So, but XC2, it didn't really matter my start. I would always find a way to pick my way to the front and be in the podium battle by the end of the race every single time. So, my focus was never the starts. I was never someone that would be like, oh, I got the whole shot this weekend. Everyone's like, well, what happened the rest of the race? I never wanted to be one of those riders, So I was like, I don't care on the whole shot. I'm just going to focus on the rest of the day. So if I got a good start, great. If not, like I normally didn't, so be it. But getting clear track so important. Setting pace for the day, controlling the race, controlling the pace of the race, just controlling everything if you're out front.
That's the way it is in kind of everything. Get out front, get the lead, get relaxed, set your pace, and let everybody come to you. Yeah.
But sometimes you can't relax. Sometimes the pace comes to you, and it's more than you can handle, and you're you might be in a league you're not ready for sometimes. That that's part of it, especially moving up to the XC1 and XC2 classes. There's going to be people faster, people that have better days than you, and that's okay. If it's early in the race, let them go. See if you can tag on and learn something.
Exactly. I think Jessica Elioff is finding her way and her comfort zone in the WXC with winning the first 2 rounds. It's a long season with those ladies, and there are 3 or 4 of them that are nipping on her heels that could make it rough. I know in the 4x4 pro class, there's 3 of you there that are always going to be in the hunt for the podium. It just depends on where you come across the line, and what happens during the day. In Georgia, what do you think the weather's going to be like? Have you been checking the forecast?
Oh yeah, it doesn't look great. I do want to add that Hanna is switching to the Yamaha this year, so she's still learning the quad as she's getting back seconds. So, there's second and a third. She got third at the first round, didn't she?
Right.
No. I mean, learning the Yamaha is third and a second to start the year, not out of any title hunt by any means. So, good ride for her. But yeah, the weather this weekend in Georgia, it was supposed to be a lot worse than it is right now. I gotta say the dirt's pretty good. I went and rode at Durham Town, only a little bit away from, only like 45 minutes away from here. Dirt looks good. Don't want to spoil too much for the pre-race show tomorrow, but the rain's coming. And it's going to be.
It's going to be fun. We'll talk about it more things tomorrow. But hey, Cody, I really appreciate you sitting down with me tonight and going over the race review from Florida. I hope that you have a good night, and I can't wait to hear about the track walk.
Oh yeah. No, I'm ready for it. Now, got up at 4 a.m. this morning, drove 7 hours from Jeff Hart's place, Hunter Hart's dad, and drove up to Durham Town today. Rode with Ronnie Rush and Gabby Nod and a few others, and we just went and rode today. Got a feel for conditions, and see how much it rains, see how good the rain is. But no, I'm ready for it. Dirt's good today. We'll see how it turns out Saturday. Ready for it. Excellent.
All right, brother. We'll be talking to you tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you, Leonard. See everybody.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later.